Good morning. We're so happy that you can join us for our next speaker for our 50th Annual J. Walter Porter Forum. I would like for Dr. Danny Upshaw to come and introduce our next speaker. Dr. Upshaw.
Thank you all for having me today, giving me the privilege of introducing Mr. David Morgan. I've only been at NSU, just over a year, and I've already grown to love the place, and it's a real privilege to introduce one of our most well-known alumni, Mr. Morgan. David graduated from Bolton High School in Alexandria and got his degree in business from NSU in 1973. From there, he went to work selling insurance. He was quite successful at it, very successful, I should say. And in 1981, he started his own business selling insurance, United Teachers Associates. From there, he started out of the trunk of his car, and by 1999, he had a company that had over $200 million a year in annual revenue. So great success story from one of our business graduates here. He sold the company in 1999 and founded another company in 2001, 2 years later, Association Members Benefits Advisors. Now, that company has also been a great success with business in over 30 states and over 4 million members serviced by his company. On top of that, he continues to be involved in NSU in both his fraternity. He's still an alumni chat member there, in their Hall of Fame. He's a member of the Long Purple Line and is involved in the alumni board. And he's just, an example of a graduate here that has went on to great success and has maintained his identification with the university. He's been married for over 40 years to his wife, Sherry. And both in his professional and personal life, he's an example of what we hope all of our graduates can achieve here at NSU. And with that said, let's give a hand for Mr. Morgan. And,
Good morning. Good morning. All right, that's a little better. I've been asked to talk to you this morning to tell you about my story. I didn't bring any slides, but I do have pictures of my family if anybody's interested. We could put those up or see me at break or something. But, I feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the whole world. I'm definitely living the American dream. And I have a huge attitude of gratitude because I remember where I came from. I learned how to sell when I was in Alexandria and really refined my skills at Northwestern. And I'm a salesman. And you can always tell a great salesman by the person they're with. And I'd like to introduce my wife here. Sherry, stand up. That's living proof that I'm a good salesman. I oversold a long time ago. But we've been married almost 43 years. We have 3 wonderful children. They're young adults. They're all married. They're all college graduates. 2 of them graduated from Baylor. 1 of them graduated from Northwestern. And we have 7 grandkids. They all live in Austin. And I just returned the other day, Tuesday, from St. Thomas. We spend about half our time in the islands. And if you've ever been to the islands in the Caribbean, you'll know why. It's probably the prettiest place in the whole world, next to Austin. And that's pretty cool, too. But Natchitoches always has special memories for us. We had wonderful times here, and we're never gonna forget them. I flew into Shreveport Tuesday evening, and yesterday we were driving from Shreveport, down to Natchitoches, and I had my wife driving, and I was, returning the phone calls and checking texts and doing all that stuff that you're not supposed to do when you drive. So I had a driver, and I happened to look to my right, and I saw this long fence line. And I noticed on one of the fence posts, much to my surprise, there was a turtle on top of the fence post. Now, I'd never seen a turtle on top of a fence post before. By the way, has anybody in here ever seen a turtle on top of a fence post? Well, you have to remember that if you ever see a turtle on top of a fence post, that turtle did not get there by himself. He had help. And I feel like I'm the turtle on the fence post, and I've had a lot of help along the way. And I never want to forget that. I grew up in Alexandria, as I mentioned. Family was in Pineville, Alexandria. I graduated from Bolton High School. My mom was a housewife. My dad had a small demolition company. And we worked summers, weekends. We were tearing down houses, tearing down buildings. And it was real hard work. It was high risk, high reward. You know, I didn't have to work. But if I wanted money, I had to work. And, you know, growing up without money, I had a desire to make money. And, you know, growing up poor at the time, by the way, how many would you consider yourself middle or lower income? Just raise your hand, just for a show of hands. Great. I mean, I thought at the time that was a disadvantage, growing up poor, because my friends had nice cars, nice clothes, and I was always working, and I didn't have a whole lot. I kind of considered that at the time to be a disadvantage. But later on in life, I recognized that was the best thing that happened for me. It made me hungry. It made me want the things that I didn't have. And I kind of had a PhD at the time. You know, we've heard some of your professors have PhDs. Well, my PhD was I was poor, hungry, and driven. That was the kind of PhD I had. You know, I bought my own clothes. I bought my own cars. You know, on Sunday afternoon, the parents would put us in the back seat of the car, and we would ride around to the other part of town, and we would look at the big houses and the nice lawns these people had. And, you know, we wouldn't go to the certain parts of town. We'd go to where the big houses were. And, you know, I always had dreams that one day, that might be me. But, you know, they were dreams. And your dreams are dreams until you put them into action. And I hope my story this morning will inspire some of you that it doesn't matter where you come from or came from. It just matters what you do from the day that you leave here. Because there's a tremendous opportunity out there for you. It's tremendous. But you got to take advantage of it. You got to work hard. You got to start early, stay late. You got to have a lot of want to. And as I continue to talk here, at the end, I'm going to give you some takeaways here that I'd like for you to write down and you can think about. I know you have to be here. You know, your professors are there. They got a list out there, and you didn't have to buy a ticket to get here. They asked you, they kind of bribed you to come in here. So I hope you get something out of this. You know, when I was in high school, by the way, is anybody here from Alexandria? Great. What a great place to grow up in. What a wonderful town. I had a great experience there. I was at Bolton High School, and I never really was strong academically. In fact, it kind of really bored me, to be honest with you. I was in the part of the group that made the top 50% possible, if you get what I mean. And so when it came time to be a senior and you're going through getting ready to graduate, and you had to go by and see the guidance counselor. And the guidance counselor would, supposed to guide you, okay? And they would ask you what you want to do. And I said, well, I was thinking about going to college. And the guidance counselor said, no, you should not go to college. I said, why? He said, well, you need to go to trade school. Get a job driving a truck or being a welder or something like that. That's really what you need to do. And I said, I really would like to I think I want to go to college because, when my age group graduated from high school, the males had 3 choices. 1, you could get married. 2, you could go to Vietnam. Or 3, you could go to college. Pretty easy choice. So a couple of my buddies got in the car, and we went to Northwestern and arrived here on Natchitoches one Sunday and checked in the dorms. And, when I came to Northwestern, it was really great because I felt a part of something, and I could be something different. not like I was in high school, a junior or senior, because when you're a senior, you're kind of about the same that you were as a junior and a sophomore, because you're in that clique, you're in that class, and people remember that. So when I came to Northwestern, I decided to be something different, to do things different, to become engaged, to focus academically, to focus in the clubs. I joined everything I could. I ran for freshman vice president as soon as I got here, and I lost that election by 10 points, 10 votes. I joined Pi Kappa Phi fraternity, one of the best decisions I ever made, other than marrying that blonde-headed over there, Sherry, and that was the best decision. I joined the Student Union Governing Board. I joined SGA. I was the NSU Demon. I joined everything I could. I learned how to communicate. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to speak like I'm doing now. I learned how to get things done. Some of the best days of my life were spent here at Northwestern. I have fond memories. You know, I didn't have a 4.0 when I was here. And I congratulate those of you that do. I know how hard you must have worked to achieve that. But let me tell you, grades are important, but that's not the single common denominator that's going to make you successful in life. It takes more than that. I was interviewing the former superintendent of the Cattle Parish Schools a few years ago to come go to work for me. And, you know, he had more degrees than the thermometer. I mean, this guy, he was a good guy. He was smart. I don't mean that in a negative manner, but, and then he came to Austin, and, you know, I was showing him my office and everything. And I said, you know, this guy's our actuary here. We got, 16 actuaries here. We got 12 CPAs, and these, really smart people doing all this stuff. And he said, wait a minute. He said, you graduated from Northwestern, didn't you? I said, yeah. He said, you don't have a master, do you? I said, no. He said, well, how did you get all these people that have all these degrees to work for you? And he never could get past that. And and we never could do any business together. But I thought that story was kind of interesting. How many of you, by the way, are in student activities of some sort? I want to see a show of hands. You're in a fraternity, you're in a sorority, you're in the BSU, you're in the football team, you're in the band, you're something, I don't see all the hands. Raise your hands high, I want to see. Okay, that's better than half. That's great. That's great. Because when you get out of here with your degree, and you go for your one-on-one interviews, they're going to be looking at you, what you've done outside the classroom. They want to know your people skills, how you communicate, and so I encourage all of you to get involved, be a part of something big, and run for office. I see that there's more people sitting in the back than there are in the front. That's just like in my church. If you get there early, you get to sit in the back. If you come late, you have to sit in the front. So, be in the front row. Be a participant. Because you'll get a whole lot more out of it. The day I graduated from Northwestern was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. I got my degree, and I was pumped about that. I was pumped about that because I had the mindset that if I had a college degree, the world was going to be there for me. They were going to open their arms. We're so glad you're here. You've arrived. Please come to work for us. Please, because that was kind of the mentality that I had at the time. And I'd worked real hard for my degree and had a lot of smart girlfriends and some easy professors, and I was able to get through this. And there's a lot of truth to that. But anyway, I got my degree, and I knew that when I walked across the stage and they called my name and they put the degree in my hand, that when I got to the other end, there was going to be a group of companies there. And they were going to be like an auction. They were going to be fighting for me to come to go to work for them, because I had this degree. Well, when I graduated, walked off the stage, my mom was there, my grandmom was there, and my girlfriend, who's now my wife, was there. And that was it. There was nobody there trying to hire me. And big surprise, letdown number one. But, when you get down, you got to get back up, and you got to keep going. I never had an interview at Northwestern for a job. They were only interested in talking to the 4.0ers, and that wasn't me. So I was looking for a job, and I went to Shreveport, Alexandria, and I couldn't find much. And I saw this ad in the paper, by the way, and I got copies of this if you'd like to see it. This is August 12th, 1973, okay? The ad says, if you would like to hunt, fish, play golf, whoa, and make $18,000 a year. In 1973, that was a lot of money. That was a lot of money. Call us. So obviously, it got my attention, especially since I was unemployed. So I call these guys, and they're in Shreveport, and I go for the interview, and these guys had read the book, Dress for Success. I had never seen men dress this nice. They had nice ties, suits, clothes. They were just dressed, as we call it, to the nines. And, image is everything. Image is everything. You only have just a few seconds to make a good first impression. Hopefully I passed that. But, so these guys told me about the opportunity that was there. And they really liked, what I'd done in college. And they asked me to come for a second interview. They were interviewing a lot of people. They were only going to select a couple of people. And they called that night and wanted if I could come by the next day, certain time for an interview. And I said, certainly. So I'll go back for my follow-up interview. And they said, look, we think you can, do really good here. And, you can make $35,000 a year. 1973, think about that. I only knew one person that made that much money, and that was my family doctor that was a good friend. And I called the guy I called him. I said, hey, wait a minute. The ad says I'm going to make $18,000, and that was twice as much as the 4.0s that graduated Northwestern was making at the time. And now this guy is telling me I can make $35,000. I went, wait a minute. And I'll never forget what that man did. He looked me dead in the eye and pointed, and he said, if you become a student of the business and you dedicate yourself and you learn exactly what we're trying to tell you and you work hard, you will make that much your first year. Well, I didn't need to hear any more. Sign me up. 3 days later, I'm in Dallas at a training school. And I believed. I bought in, hook, line, and sinker. I was called a company man in my training school because most of the other people were interested, going out at night and having a good time in the Dallas nightlife. And, I didn't do that because that wasn't what I was there for. So, anyway, first, and I had to pay my own expenses, straight commission, no guarantee, no car, and I didn't have any money. I was pretty broke. In fact, I was so broke I couldn't even afford to pay attention. But my girlfriend at the time loaned me $75 to pay my expenses the first week. And I went out the first week and I only sold a couple. We were called on school teachers, by the way, selling disability income to school teachers in a salary guarantee type program. And I only sold 2 that week. The next week I sold 3 or 4 more. And the next week I sold some more. And anyway, 3 weeks later, I made more in a week than the 4.0ers that were graduating from Northwestern. Because I believed. I got dedicated. I got in. I bought in. I became a company man. My first year, I didn't make $18,000 like they said. I didn't make $30,000, $35,000. I actually took home $50,000 my first 12 months in the business. I mean, we were gangster rich. We thought we were. I tell you that to let you know that where you go to work at, you got to buy in. You got to get committed. It's like being on the football team. If you want to play in the game, you got to buy in. So I come home one day and I tell my brand new wife that got some great news. They really like what I do here, and I've been promoted. I'm going to be the manager of South Alabama, and we're going to move to Montgomery, and I'm going to have this big territory, and they're going to have agents working under me, and I'm going to get override off everything they sell. And she said, Montgomery, Alabama, huh? I said, yeah. I said, isn't that great? And no, it's not great. She said, look, my mom lives here, my dad lives here, my grandparents live here, my brothers and sisters live here. I don't want to leave. I don't want to. I love Shreveport. I love all my friends here, and you know, I just don't want to go. And you know, being a good salesman, you know, I didn't let the first no stop me. You know, I kept on and kept on, and finally she said, well, look, you know, I just don't really want to go. I said, look, I understand. This is my opportunity to go to the next level. I said, these guys told me that if I keep doing what I'm doing, I could be a millionaire one day. I've never had anybody tell me that. Can you imagine being 22 years old and your parents never had much and somebody tells you that you can be a millionaire? That got my attention. I believed. And so I told her, I said, look, I love you. You're great. All this kind of good stuff. You know, I'd love for you to go with me. You know, we make a good team here, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I said, I'm not going to miss the bus here. I said, this is our opportunity to hit it big. And, you know, a week or two later, both of us got in the car, and she's got crocodile tears all the way down, coming all the way down. But we went to Montgomery, Alabama, and spent 3 years there, and it's worked out really good. I got promoted to regional and then divisional, moved to Dallas, and, you know, it's kind of like, you heard the story about the two guys in Alaska that were fishing? They caught a bunch of fish one night, and they were frying them up, and they heard this noise in the bush. And one guy said, what is that? And the other guy said, well, I think it's a bear. And a bear, and oh my God. So guys, you know, they sure enough, there's a bear, and they start running, and then one guy stops and starts putting on his tennis shoes. He said, well, what are you doing, man? The bear's right there. Why are you putting on your tennis shoes? You're never going to outrun that bear if you stop and put on your tennis shoes. He said, I don't have to outrun that bear. Get it? Just have to outrun you. And that's how it is in business. You want to do your job better than anybody else so you can go to the next level. You don't have to beat everybody. Just beat the guy in front of you, so to speak. Anyway, then I worked at this company for 8 years, and in 1981 I saw an opportunity. And you've heard the saying that one idea can make you rich. That's partially true. It's one idea properly, thoroughly executed that can make you rich. I know a lot of people that have great ideas, wonderful ideas, but they have no follow-through. So execution is the key. So I saw an opportunity to service the needs of the retired school teachers across the state, in many states. And I resigned from the company that I was working for, and the guy told me, he said, you know, you're making a huge mistake here. Because the last 12 months, I had taken home $180,000 in 1981. And in today's dollars, I'm not an actuary or like that, but that's a whole lot of money. In today's dollars, it was a lot of money then. But anyway, you know, when you're very young, you're bulletproof. And you have a strong belief and a lot of desire and a lot of want to. So I left that company and I contacted the Texas Retired Teachers Association. And they were young, they were growing, they had 7,000 members. There was about 100,000 retired school teachers in Texas at the time. They wanted to grow the association. And I convinced them that membership benefits was the ticket to grow the association. So I became their benefits guy. And they gave me their membership list. I wrote a letter, they signed it, of how great this benefit was. And they gave me the membership list. We did mail-outs. The leads poured in. With leads, you can hire salespeople. The salespeople were extremely successful. The business took off like gangbusters. It was a high risk, but it was a high return. The Retired Teachers Association conveyed the message that how good we had done to other states, and, you know, we moved across the country. When we first started, we had a 12-page presentation. We went out for 8 days, and we didn't sell anything. And then we cut the presentation down to 3 pages, and sales took off. Because, see, people really don't want to know all you know. They don't want to know all you know. They want to know that you care, and you're there to help them solve the problem. So we use the KISS system. We keep it simple, stupid. condense it. There was a show one time on TV, Dragnet. You guys are way too young to remember it, too young to remember that. But Sergeant Friday would show up, and he would get the story of the crime that happened. And some people would go on and on and on. He said, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. And in sales, they just want the facts. Just tell it to them quickly and ask for the order. Our first year, we did $800,000 in sales. Our second year, we did $5 million in sales. Our third year, we did $12 million. I mean, it was all I could do to keep it going. I mean, I was only working half a day, and I could do what I want with the other 12 hours. But it was a full-time. It was all I could do. I mean, we were hiring hundreds of people at a time. Our offices was expanding. We were selling so much insurance. We were writing over 500 policies a week, and that's a lot of business. That's a lot of business. And we were writing so much insurance, and we were writing these companies out of surplus. I've been fired 3 times for selling too much insurance. Can you imagine that? So after the 3rd time that I got fired, I went to the Texas Commerce Bank in Austin. At age 34, they loaned me $3 million. I think about that today and it just kind of blows me away. They loaned me $3 million. I'd only been in business a few years. They loaned me $3 million. I bought a small little insurance company out of Georgia. Went to Georgia for the Form A hearing. They just don't give an insurance company to anybody. It's like a bank. It's a fiduciary responsibility where you're taking money from the public and they're entrusting you to invest that money, save the money, to run the company properly so that when the claims do come in, the money will be there. Closed the deal, bought the company, moved to Austin, hired some claims people, hired some actuaries, hired some MBA people to run the company, and it just took off like gangbusters. We were licensed in 46 states. We were selling and buying insurance. Our revenues were over $200 million a year. We had 250 full-time office employees. You can relate with that, Jim. I mean, you show up every day and, you don't have to, what am I going to do today? It's waiting on you when you get there. The alligators are on your desk. But it was a full-time business. We also, in addition to selling insurance, we started doing what's called assumption reinsurance, where insurance companies would sell their policies to other insurance companies. They would be getting out of line of business. They may have had some disability policies that they sold 10 years ago, and they're not in that line anymore. And they would get rid of those policies, and they would transfer the liabilities and the assets to other companies. And I had a team of people, and we went on the road. We did 75 transactions in a 15-year period, and that's a whole lot of activity, let me tell you. We were very active in that market. In 1999, well, back up a couple years, a few years before that, one of my friends in Dallas that owned an insurance company said, have you ever thought about selling your insurance company? I said, well, not really. I like it. It's fun. It's very rewarding, and everything's going great. And he said, well, I just sold my company, and, if you want to go talk to some people, I can set you up. I said, well, sure, I'm interested. And so I went to New York, went to Wall Street, met all the Harvard guys and the Yale guys and, all the guys with all these degrees. And we spent over a year together doing an evaluation of the company, doing an in-depth deep dive. We did pro formas. We did valuations. We hired McMillan and Roberts, one of the biggest actuarial firms in the world, and went out with an offering, basically. We identified about 20 big insurance companies that might have an interest in this company, and that took about a year, another year to do that. And in 1999, a Fortune 500 company that wanted to get access to this market, made an offer on the company and ended up closing it. Somebody said, well, gee whiz, the company was so big and so successful, why did you sell it? Well, there was millions of reasons. And it changed my family financial tree forever, okay? Remember, one good idea properly executed, can make you wealthy, okay? Not just an idea, it's got to be executed. Took a little time off in 2001, started another company called Association Member Benefits Advisors. We have a lot of Northwestern graduates. They're doing a wonderful job with our company. We have there's one of our regionals, Brad Miller, runs the Chicago office. We have Wes Breeden, some of you know, as he's our regional vice president of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. We're operating in 30 states. We have 48 large associations we do business with. We're the exclusive provider for their member benefits. And when I say exclusive, that really means something. You're not just one of a menu. You're it. If you picked up the phone and you called the Louisiana Retired Teachers Association office in Baton Rouge, and you said, hey, I just retired from Rapides Parish, and I'm looking for some benefits, long-term care, travel program, car rental, whatever, they would give you our phone number, and we would send a representative to see you. That's strong. That's strong. Most companies have good products, or they wouldn't be in business, and they have good people working for those companies. But the most important ingredient is who are we going to go sell this stuff to? Who is our customer? Who are we going to call on? And there are riches in niches, okay? Penny Simpson used to be a professor here. She she was participating with a group and wrote a textbook. And I don't know, do y'all still use that book today? Okay. It's a marketing book, and it's basically talks about niches. There's niches. You know, it used to be, when I was growing up, you had a doctor. You would go see that doctor for everything. Now there's a specialist, you know. So people are specialized, businesses are specializing. You know, we don't use a shotgun. We use a rifle. You know, we have a very narrow focus. We've identified what our market is. We've identified the customer. We have built a menu of benefits and a marketing system to service that group. And you're going to be successful no matter what you do as long as you're providing a benefit and a service to somebody, whether it be your employer or your customer. You know, you've got to provide benefits, services, or you will not have a future there. You know, home office is in Austin. Like I said, we're coast to coast. We're in 30 states. We have district and regional offices all over the country. And we're serving these association members all over. The future is what you make it. There's a tremendous opportunity out there. It doesn't matter where you came from. It really doesn't matter where you went to college at. It matters what you do with the degree. That's what matters. That's what matters. You know, we've all been exposed at Northwestern to some great professors, some great textbooks, great learning. But it's up to you to take advantage of that. Whether you're going to be a salesman like I have been, or whether you're going to go work for ABC company or XYZ company. You know, you gotta get in. You know, and by the way, does anybody know what happened on January 10th, 1901? That was one of the days that changed America forever. Anybody know what happened on that day? In Beaumont, Texas, that was the day that changed the course of America forever. The Spindletop oil well was drilled that day. Anybody heard of the Spindletop? That was the first gusher ever in the United States. In fact, the guy that owned that, Pat Higgins, had tried to drill for oil before, but had failed numerous times. But he believed there was a lot of oil there. They drilled 1,139 feet to hit oil. And when they hit oil, it was the biggest gusher ever. It blew 200 feet straight in the air. Over 100,000 barrels a day was coming out on the ground. It tarred all the houses in Beaumont. It was just a fume in the air. It took them 9 days to cap this well. 9 days. In the first 5 years, this oil well produced 60 million barrels of oil. 60 million. Think about that. All of a sudden, Pat Higgin, the guy that owns the land, was a multi-millionaire on that day. But the real question is, when did Pat become a millionaire? Because his family had owned that land for a long time. So some of you have your own spindle top, because it may take you 10, 20, 30 years for your oil well gusher to come in. But you got to keep drilling. You got to keep the hope. You got to believe. You got to believe. You know, as I said, I'm probably the luckiest guy in the whole world. I am living the American dream, let me tell you. But it didn't happen overnight. I'd like to tell you it's easy. It had been easy. I'd like to tell you it was quick. It wasn't. It wasn't either one of those. There's adversity. People are throwing hand grenades at you all the time. Whenever you become successful, you're a target. And you got people, some people are trying to help you up the ladder, and others are trying to suppress you down. How many of you ever heard of Drew Brees? Go Saints, huh? Did y'all know he's from Austin? He played Pop Warner football with my kids in the same neighborhood when we were growing up. He went to Westlake High School in Austin. They were a 4A school. They're 5A now, but they were 4A at the time. They won the state football championship. He was the starting quarterback, and he'd been there for a number of years. When he graduated from high school, he wanted to go to the University of Texas. They wouldn't even talk to him. He wanted to go A&M. They wouldn't even talk to him. No high school, no college in Texas offered Drew Brees a scholarship. Isn't that amazing? He went to Purdue, as we all know, and broke all the records at Purdue. And then, he ended up at the Saints and doing a fine job there. That's another classic example of having the oil well below you. It just takes time. It takes time for you to achieve the kind of success that Drew Brees has achieved. We look at Drew Brees today and say, wow, what a great player. He's doing all this. He's got all that. It didn't happen overnight. You think of all the years he's been playing football. I don't know, 20 years? That's a long time. From the time he was, 7 years old, 8 years old, playing the little stuff at home, So hang in there. Don't quit. Be a company person. Be an SOB. Does you know what SOB stands for? Student of the business. Whoever you go to work for, buy in. Buy into their philosophy. Get committed. I mean, like some of us here, we bleed purple, Living in Austin, sometimes we bleed orange, but when I come here, we had to bleed purple. But, buy in. I want to take a second now, and I'm going to give you some we got just a few minutes here. I'm going to give you some key takeaways, so some of you might want to jot some of this down, and then we may take a minute or two for questions if anybody has one. Some key takeaways here. Key takeaways. Your success is your choice. How many of you have ever heard of Rick Pitino? One of the greatest basketball coaches out there. He wrote a book a few years ago called Success is a Choice. It's one of my favorite. I encourage you to pick that book up and read it. Your degree is not an entitlement. Your degree is not an entitlement. So many people think, I got a degree, the world owes me now. The world doesn't owe you anything. Nothing. Your attitude is key. Probably one of the most important attributes that a person can have is having a positive mental attitude. You know, and you look at your glass of water there, and it reminds me I had one I haven't drinking here, but you look at that glass and you say, is my glass half full or half empty? Don't be a poor me person. You know, don't be a pity me. You know, your attitude is so important. Expect to win. Winners expect to win. Losers expect to lose. You know, expect the good things. When you graduate from here, expect to start at the bottom. Expect to start at the bottom, because you will. You will start at the bottom. Don't think you're too good for any job. You're only going to stay at the bottom as long as you want to. When you decide that I have bought into this company, your boss and your supervisor is going to recognize that, and guess what? You're going to go to the next level. There's more room, there's plenty of room at the top, but there's no room to sit down. So expect to start at the bottom. Go the extra mile. Go the extra mile. It's real easy to get ahead, but you have to be willing to go the extra mile. Start early, stay late. Just work half a day. Half a day. You can do whatever you want with the other 12 hours. Those are your 12 hours, but work half a day every day. Success is a journey. It's not a destination. As you achieve one success, you get promoted, you know, you're going to get an opportunity to keep going up the corporate ladder. So you have to keep improving your skills. You have to be a student of the business. Learn all you can about the business. But, you know, in summary, once again, you've been exposed to some wonderful teachers here, professors. You've been exposed to some great structure. What a great family environment this is. The professors know your name. They know a lot about you. They care about you. You're fortunate to be able to go here. You're very fortunate. You know, college education is not free. You're making an investment here, and you need to get an ROI, return on your investment. And you can get a high return or you can get a low return. It's all up to you. So, Margaret, do we have time for a question or two? Or anybody have any questions? I figured that. Yeah, Chris. That's a great question, and I thank you for asking that. I remember clearly one time, you know, we were an insurance agency, and we were selling insurance for another company. And you would think an insurance company would want all the checks and the premium that you could sell. One day I get a call in my office. The president of the insurance company, Farm & Ranch out of Kansas, called me and said, hey, I am, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm working. And he said, well, look, I'm downtown. Come on over here to the hotel. Let's go have some lunch. So I go over and I meet this guy at the Hyatt Hotel in downtown Austin. We have lunch for a few hours, and you know, he's just listening to me and, you know, telling him all the great things. And right after a couple-hour lunch, he said, well, I'm afraid I got some bad news for you. I said, what's that, Clark? And he said, the old man, the guy that owns the insurance company, he said, he sent me down to Austin to terminate your contract. I said, what do you mean? Terminate my contract? We're writing all this insurance for you, and things are great. And he said, well, you're writing so much insurance that you're writing them out of surplus, and nobody's ever sold as much as you've ever sold before. So he thinks that the product's too cheap, they're paying you too much, or something's not right. And this was on like a Tuesday, and he said he just doesn't want any more of the business. And I said, well, how much time do I have? He said, well, can you have it turned off by Friday? I went, no way. I mean, I had 100 agents out there that were counting on me. I had about 25 people in the office that were counting on me to have a company. And it's kind of like having a Chevrolet dealership, and you're selling all the Chevrolets that you can get. And then Chevrolet calls you one day and says, hey, you're a great guy. we like you, but you're selling way too many Chevrolets, so we're not going to send you any more Chevrolets. Whoa! You got all these employees there and this market and everything. So he said, have it turned off by Friday. I said, there is no blankety blank way that I can have it turned off by Friday. I said, I got all these people counting on me. And he said, well, just do the best you can. I'll try to hold him off. And so instead of going back to my office and having a pity party, everything's going to, the agents, because if the agents don't have anything to sell, they're going to quit. They're going to work somewhere else. And so instead of going back and having a pity party, I got the insurance book of all the insurance companies in the United States, and I started at the A's. And I was calling companies, and I gave them my pitch. I told them who I was. I had this big endorsement. I had this big captive sales force. We were selling all this business, and I was needing a carrier. And I started like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And about 4:30, I reached this guy in Waco with American Bankers, because I started at the A's. And he said, this really sounds great. When can I hear some more about when can I hear more about this? I said, how about tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, I'll be in your office. And so that's the adversity that you turn into a positive. Another time, I got a call from a company in Houston I was writing for. And he said, look, I just got out of a board meeting. The board of directors just had this meeting. It was a public insurance company. And he said, the board of directors has authorized us to sell $500,000 worth of additional stock. I said, well, that's great. And he said, yeah. He said, in fact, you're a major contributor here. You're writing all this business, and you're a number one guy. And the board wants you to buy $250,000 worth of stock. And I went, And the insurance company was kind of shaky anyway, I thought. I didn't know if they were going to make it, so I wasn't really interested in making an investment in that company. And I said, well, I just built my business. It's going gangbusters, and I'm putting everything back in the business, and I don't really have that. He said, well, let me explain it to you. He said, if we don't sell that stock to you, then we can't take any more of your business. Okay, I understand. And who to make my check to? So anyway, as it turned out, 6 months later, this company was a public company, and they got involved in a hostile takeover, and I doubled my money. Every adversity, every bad thing that's going to happen to you has an equal or greater benefit that's going to happen later on. You just don't see it at the time. But you got to keep fishing. You got to keep fighting. You got to keep swimming. And how many of you went to the Northwestern Baylor game in Waco? Well, you know where the tailgate party was? Did y'all go to that? Okay. Well, right by the interstate, on the other side of the stadium, is a big tall building, and it's got on there Baylor University. And right below that, it's got Clifton Robertson Tower. Well, Clifton Robertson is an insurance executive in Waco. And in 1984, Clifton fired me because I was making more money than he was. And he said, no agent should ever make more than the guy that owns the insurance company. So he fired me. So, it's weird, but that's just the way it happens. So, don't let the adversity get you down. Any other questions? Okay, thank y'all very much.
David, you can ask me. David, I think we have one more question, sorry.
Yes. It's all in your attitude. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank y'all so much. Thank our speakers. They were wonderful. Again, I want to thank the Porter family for their undying support of this initiative for us. It's been so grateful. We're so grateful to have this opportunity for over 50 years. Now, please join us, seniors, our special guests, our speakers, faculty members, our seniors over in the Nackers room for lunch. Everyone else gets pizza in the courtyard across the street at Russell Hall. And then we'll hear Corinne at 2 p.m. Thank y'all so much.